Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. It's Tuesday, time to talk about some new releases coming out this Friday, September 8th. To a little over 500 albums coming out. I got 15 on the list for today. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you go check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlists we put together every week, and the Patreon page. Make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. Like I said in the intro, there's a little over 500 albums coming out this week. I'm only going to talk about 15 on the show today, so if there's something I don't talk about, make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to picking up this week. And like always, if you're unable to find any of these in your local brick and mortar stores, they're all available online. I'll put links down below for them. A couple of big Prince soundtracks being reissued this week. The first one I've had on pre-order for months and months now. It's supposed to come out earlier this year. It got pushed back. Actually, I think it got pushed back twice, but it's coming out this week. That is Batman, first released back in 1989. This is reissued from the original stereo masters. The album artwork has all been digitally recreated, because that was one of the first things I noticed was the album artwork for this release looks a lot cleaner and crisper than the original artwork does. Not like there's a huge difference, and not like the old artwork looks bad, but I did notice a difference right away when I saw pictures of it online. It's going to run you $25, which is not a bad price. I will say when this first went up for pre-order, it was like $55 or $65. It was like some outrageous price. That's because it was originally only coming out overseas, but it is going to get a U.S. release also. That's why it's a lot cheaper. It's going to be $25. You have to pay all that extra shipping and everything that's involved in it. So the two big hits that were on here, you had Party Man and Bat Dance. Of course, Bat Dance, the video for that was all over MTV when it first came out. So like I said, that's one I've been looking forward to for a long time. I've been looking for even an original pressing of it for at least the last few years. And every time I found one, it was either in really bad shape or they wanted a lot of money for it. So I'm definitely happy to pay $25 for that release. And then you got Graffiti Bridge coming out this week also. Released a year later in 1990. It was his 12th studio album. This is a double LP. It's going to run you about $40 online. So this was the soundtrack to his follow-up to Purple Rain, which the soundtrack for Graffiti Bridge is fantastic. I was never a big fan of the movie. He started working on this like way back in 87. Then there was like a bunch of delays and it didn't actually come out until 1990. Like I said, good soundtrack, not such a great movie though. The Doors are releasing a pretty cool looking box set this week. This is Live at the Matrix, 1967, the original masters. So this is kind of pricey though. It's going to run you about $120. If I can get it on sale somewhere a little cheaper than that, I might grab it. But this is a 5 LP, 1 7-inch release. This is all recorded between March 7th, March 11th, 1967 at the Matrix in San Francisco. So this is like 2 months after their debut album came out. Really kind of cool. I think it's going to be really kind of cool recordings to kind of go back and look at. So the Matrix was a little small club. I guess it used to be a pizzeria. Owner turned it into a nightclub. Had some really cool shows there over the years, but the owner would go through and record all this stuff to kind of hold on to it. And had he not done that, we would have all these shows would have been lost to time. But Doors did 5 shows there. Looks like going over the set list on this recordings. Looks like it's going to be a pretty cool release. Hopefully it's available on streaming so I can check it out before I decide to drop some money on it. And then you've also got The Cure show coming out this week. This was a live album from 1993, recorded here in Michigan at the Palace of Auburn Hills, which is a great venue for concerts. Of course, it was torn down several years ago. But this one's going to run you about $40 online. This was actually an RSD release from earlier this year. It was on Picture Disc when it came out for Record Store Day. This is going to be on standard black vinyl. I have the Picture Disc. I'm still going to pick it up on vinyl on this release also, just because I want to have a standard version of it. I'm actually kind of interested to see, because the Picture Disc sounds great, so I'm actually kind of interested to see how this compares to the Picture Disc. But this has the version of Lullaby and A Night Like This on this live album is absolutely fantastic. I think they're far superior than the studio versions of both those songs, but it's just a great live album. One of my favorite live albums of all time. You got the new album from Olivia Rodrigo coming out this week. This is Guts. It's her second studio album, follow-up to her 2021 album, Sour, which was a huge album when it came out. It's probably one of my favorite albums of 2021, but it went quadruple platinum here in the U.S. It was the #1 album in a bunch of different countries around the world. So for the new album, she's working with the same producer, same collaborator that she did on Sour. So I think it's going to be a good release. I'm hoping to see a little bit more growth in her music, though. Like I said, even though I loved Sour, I want to see her do more, a little bit more with the new album. But there's been two singles that have been released so far off the new album. Both have been #1 hits. So I think this is going to be just as good. It's going to run you about $28 online. I know there's a bunch of different a bunch of different color variants that are available for this album. I know the Target exclusive also has an alternate cover also. So a bunch of different versions of it are going to be available out there. So you got that one. I've already got that on pre-order. So you got that one. And then you got Everclear Live at the Whisky A Go-Go coming out this week. This is a new live album from the band. So they're celebrating the 30th anniversary. This was a live show from December of last year. It's going to be on Coke Bottle Clear vinyl. It's a double LP. It's going to run you about $40. It's a great track list great tracks from all across the band's career. And then there's 2 new studio tracks on there also. There's 3 reissues from Skid Row coming out this week. The first one, this is their self-titled album from 1989. This is their debut album. It's going to be on black vinyl. I know they've released this a bunch of different times over the last few years on colored vinyl. So, of course, they're going to release it on black this week when the other 2 albums are coming out on colored vinyl. But it's going to run you about $27 online. One of my favorite rock albums from the late 80s. You got ATN Life on here. You got Youth Gone Wild. I Remember You. They were all just huge hits when this album came out. And then the second one is Slave to the Grind. It's their second studio album released in 1991. This is going to run you about $31 online. This is a orange and black marble vinyl. It looks pretty cool. It's a double LP. As much as I like their debut album, I think Slave to the Grind is probably their most complete album. And, I think that it took me a little bit longer to get into it because it doesn't have any like the huge tracks that their first album did. But overall, just a fantastic album. And then the third one, this is Subhuman Race, released in 1995. It was their third studio album. This is on blue and black marble vinyl. It's a double LP also. It's going to run you about $35 online. This was met with really great reviews, but it just didn't do all that well commercially. I think it was just because 1995, rock had kind of moved in a very different direction with all the grunge and everything that happened in the early part of the decade. So I think this is an album that had it been released earlier in the 90s, I think it would have sold a lot better than it did. Just like pretty much every week, there's a couple of really good jazz releases coming out this week, but these 2 are probably 2 of my favorite jazz albums, but they're coming out by labels I've never heard of before. The first one, this is Duke Ellington and John Coltrane. This was released back in 1963. This is going to be on blue vinyl. I'm not really sure if the album is on blue vinyl because there's a 7-inch that comes along with it. I know the 7-inch is on blue vinyl. I don't know if the 12-inch is on blue also. It didn't really say in the description, and from the hype sticker I saw on there, it didn't really say from that either. So I'm not really sure how it's colored. But it's going to run you about $24 online. Like I said earlier, I think this is probably one of my favorite jazz albums of all time. Just a great release. So many great tracks on here. But this is coming out from a label called Glamorama, which I've never heard of before. I've never heard of that label. You can drop me a comment down below if you know anything about them. I'll probably hop on Discogs and see if I can pull up some reviews on some of their other stuff. And that bonus 7-inch has a 1957 recording of In a Sentimental Mood, which is a great track by Duke Ellington, and then a 1962 recording of Big Nick by John Coltrane. Great tracks, great album. Like I said before, not really sure anything about that label though, so I'll try to dig into that label a little bit more. So you got that one coming out, and then you've got Thelonious Monk with John Coltrane. This was released 1961. It's on orange vinyl. This label is Vinyl Passion, which I think I've heard of them before. I've just never heard any of their recordings, so not really sure the sound quality or how that's going to be pressed. It's going to run you about $21 online. It's John Coltrane, Thelonious Monk, 2 of the giants of jazz, at least in my opinion. Probably 2 of my favorite jazz musicians overall, and it's a great album. Like I said, same thing with the other release. I'm just not really sure about that label. There's a new live album from Fleetwood Mac coming out this week. This is Rumors Live. So what I read online, it was previously on release, but this is a live show from August 29th, 1977, the Forum in LA. It was during the Rumors tour. Most of this live show is all from their self-titled album and Rumors, which was the first 2 albums with Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks. In my opinion, it's probably Fleetwood Mac's best albums, but so it's a great lineup. There's only one track on here that's from like before that period in the band. It's a double LP. It's going to run about $32 online. I'm hoping they release this on streaming services also, because I'd love to check out the sound quality of this before I decide to pick it up on vinyl. Some of those live shows from the 70s can be kind of iffy. So you got that coming out this week. Then you got the Atari's Hang Your Head and Hope, the acoustic sessions coming out this week. This was released digitally back in 2011. It wasn't available on any kind of physical format until 2019 when it was released on CD and on vinyl. The vinyl version from 2019 was on blue vinyl. I don't know if this is blue vinyl also, if it's on black. Didn't really see where it said anywhere online and what it was. So this is a compilation, acoustic compilation, recorded by the frontman Christopher Rowe. He recorded over like 2 days with no overdubs. There's no edits or anything to it. I'm really looking forward to this release. I know it's been available for a long time. I just never really got around to checking out. It's going to run you about $30 online. If you're unfamiliar with the Ataris, go back and check them out. Really cool punk band from early part of the 2000s. A couple of really great albums. There's a great Suicide Machines album that's getting reissued this week. This is A Match and Some Gasoline, first released back in 2003. It's their 5th studio album. It's going to be on clear vinyl. It's going to run you about $24 online. If you're unfamiliar with Suicide Machines, they're a great punk band. I think their best period was their first 2 albums. That's why I like this album. It's their first 2 albums were like kind of ska, kind of hardcore punk, and then their 3rd and 4th album they kind of went down. I don't want to call it pop punk, but that's kind of the avenue where they were kind of treading closer to with those 2 albums. So their 5th album, they went back to older style. It's a fantastic album. Definitely one worth checking out if you're unfamiliar with the band. And then the last one on the list this week I get is Gym Class Heroes Paper Cut Chronicles 2, released in 2011. It's their 5th studio album. This is going to be on Cobalt Blue vinyl. It's Amazon exclusive. It's going to run about $25 online. This is the sequel to the band's 2nd studio album, which was released in 2005. I haven't listened to this one. I actually need to go back and check that out. I'm only familiar with like the early period from the band. It's Gym Class Heroes has done some great stuff outside of like Cupid's Chokehold, which I guess is probably the one track that everyone knows from the band. But overall, they got some great albums. Well, that's all I got for this week, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to picking up this week. There's at least 3 things I've got on pre-order. Some other stuff I'm kind of considering picking up, but let me know what you guys are going to grab this week. Like always, if you enjoy the show, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.